Surprise, 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 surprise. I had to do my eyes back and forth like surprise, surprise, surprise. What's up? What's up? What's up, my good people? How y'all doing out there? Y'all know who it be. Y'all know who it is. It's me, your homegirl Kilo. I just washed my hair this morning, Cheryl. What's out there now?
Well, that's
I
why it's
got
so
my
fluffy.
little. It's so fluffy, so fluffy. Okay, but I'm gonna come back with some bon quick next week. Okay, so we got me, Key Lolo in the heat, and then we got my homegirl. We got the wrong figure. There she go right there. My homegirl Cheryl, the unapologetically brilliant one, and I'm like the goofy. Y'all know me. I'm the crazy, ghetto, fabulous one, and we are coming to you live and direct. I'm in Cleveland. Where you at, Cheryl?
San Diego, California, Southern
Is
Cal.
it sunny there today?
You know it.
So what is it's dreary and cold in Cleveland? Cleveland, we from the East 99. We born thuggish up in here. We cold all the time. That's what we got an attitude like. Because it's always cold, but yeah, it's kind of cold. Maybe we'll get some heat. But after last week, who was the sister from the Afro futurism? She was awesome. What was her name again?
Lawana Richmond, Dr. Lawana Richmond.
Dr. Lawana is making me want to move to the southern sunny California. So we got a wonderful discussion today about some of the dumbest, and I do mean some of the dumbest hit that people say about black hair. But this time, y'all know what this one is about, right? How often should we wash it? How often should we straighten it? How often should we use? I bought some stuff here, that people want to know, like how often should we wash it? How often can we put heat? Because after all, heat's bad for your hair. What about cutting it? We can cut it too much. So all of these things are just like you know how that goes down. What's up, Teddy? I see you in the chat. How often should we use treatments? Now, we're not endorsing any of these. This is just to help with the conversation. But we got a few minutes before people get in the chat, and we're going to stay on schedule, as we like to say where I'm from. And we want to talk about what's your thoughts about the kid who had his hair cut off in Gwinnett County in Hot Atlanta. Talk to us about that one. They just cut this kid. The lady just took it upon herself. And what's up with that?
Dress codes, and he obviously is in private school, right?
I think so. I think he was in a private school.
Yeah. And of course, that is borderline assault, in my opinion. There could have been easily a call to the parent and to take him out of the school for that day and to discuss the length of his hair. And even though if it's policy, the boy obviously started with short hair. I mean, his hair was growing. And so when dress codes, when hair growth is crossing the dress code, obviously your hair is short and then grows long. And let me just say this: we already know that was not a black person who did that, because even if they even wanted to, they would not have. That was a huge human violation. But we don't understand dress codes, and one of the reasons why black hair or people with black hair or Afro curly hair or curly hair, it is a discussion that we have not had in an appropriate way. Legislators and politicians are having the conversation without cosmetologists. They're having it without any beauty experience. So, the politician, the political environment, and then you have the African American studies. I think that as far as they go, they don't invite the cosmetologists or the beauty industry into the dress code conversation. So it's heavily politicized. I do believe that is that's assault.
Wow. That's deep. That's really deep. I would not have even thought of it that way. I mean, personally, I think that's probably that's second to rape when you start talking about cutting off people's hair and, just their whole personal space. But assault, yeah, I think, and I believe in the clip, they said the teacher did not, or the assistant, the aide, whatever she was, she hadn't, turned herself in to kind of answer to why she took such drastic measures. And we're going to talk about, I think, even the topic is a great segue, into our topic tonight, which is about the regimen. So, which I think would really set the tone, because there are a lot of people who are going to be watching us, who do not have hair like us, but who may have children in a biracial situation. Maybe they are also teachers or whatever. So we're not going to assume that everybody who's watching this platform, they know the quote unquote struggle. So with that being said, give us a little backdrop about, what do you think? What is really the problem with, and I don't think it's, well, for right now, it's just white people, but anybody who has an issue or fear or concern about why our hair is long and braids and locks, what's really the problem? Why they don't like this? Like, what is this really all about? And then we're going to go right into the topic.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a 21st century thing. 20th century, you had corporations and you had the military. Mr. Morrow, my dad traveled into the industrial complex of the strongest military force on earth, and they accommodated African American people whose hair was different. Now, if the U.S. military and armed forces can create foreign exchange programs that included how to differently approach Afro curly hair, Black men with hair on their face, and can deal with those particular things, I think that the generations of those children, those people in the 20th century that did make a way for accommodations to workplaces and educational institutions that supported Afro curly hair and Afro culture, if they did that, then what is going on with the millennial generation that is now teachers, principals, politicians, legislators? What's wrong with them? And why can't the Gen Xers and in this century, why can't they get it together? So there must be, some backlash. There must be some backtracking and people getting, they're digressing instead of becoming progressive. And so there must be, something, and I write about it. And there's a such thing as I talk about is Afrophobia. And Afrophobia is a innate fear, and it's a real phobia that when you centric eyes, or you didn't you go away from people's innate identity, especially Afrocentric people, African people, African descending people, people who look and grow curly hair. There is something that it's a sense of freedom. But why are those freedoms now being restricted in such ways that they're going backwards in time? But it's a long subject. It's a long subject. And Afrophobia is not talked about. We talk about hair discrimination. Hair discrimination does not exist. It's not discriminating against your hair. It is the Afrophobia in terms of the inclusion of cultural expression that falls to me under the First Amendment of religious regalia. There are certain constitutional protections that should be included in terms of our cultural choices. But the politicians, they go past, here we go again, they go past cosmetologists, they go past beauty professionals who can talk about that, and they go straight into African American study professors, and then they're talking over us, and they keep skating the issue because they want to uphold these private rights for private institutions. And it's just working, in my opinion.
Wow. So we have some wonderful comments in the chat. So we're about to go right into the topic. I would like again to send a super duper shout out to my brother Seneferu. Thank you so much for rocking with us live here on YouTube. We have my sister Fatu. What's up, Jerry Jeff? Thank you so much, Fatu, for joining us all the way from the Gambia. We always love to have you in the house. We got, our Canadian sister, Miss Shauna. She always down with us. We got Bora. We got some more people. We got Gambia representing. What's up, Gambia? Super fantastic Gambia magic. We might have to keep this going. So we got Gambia in the house. We got my homeboy Steven. So and they're making some interesting comments, and they're saying Steven, he's like, this ain't nothing but regression for at least like 6 years. So he's agreeing with you that unfortunately, for some reason, what you already gave, the reason that we're going backwards. So I think today's topic about some of the dumbest hit that people say about black hair, I think your answers will definitely be able to begin to maybe just peel away some of the cobwebs, because maybe a lot of people, even black people themselves, I mean, the simple fact that we have to have a podcast about this is letting us know just how important this is when we're talking about how often to shampoo hair. So enlighten people who don't know, who might be confused, what is Afro hair? That's number one. And then can you just go right into what makes it different? Or will that kind of cover that?
Oh God. I mean, y'all asking questions that boy are just loaded. Afro hair is not just obviously we have the same scalp, we have a dermis, we have an epidermis, you got a cranium, stratum, and all those things that
Right.
are the same as any other human being. I think one of the things that in Afro cosmetology teaching that not only that what makes it different is that it's curling under the skin. It just doesn't curl under when it comes out, which is a whole physiological, biological, genetic conversation. And so
Okay.
please excuse me if I'm brushing over that because that is a loaded question.
Yeah,
But
that's fine. We just
they
want to give them a scope,
right,
because some people think we all have it the same. So if you could just kind of let's
right.
get us all like on the same accord. So we appreciate that.
So biologically and genetically and scientifically and environmentally, Afro hair is, if you guys can excuse me and can get with this expanded thought, is it single-handedly identifiable and genetically human. It is if Afro textured hair only grows on a human. So the physiology, how it interacts with the environment, how it works with water, moisture, temperature, um, any type of other quantum elements, that biological elements, and you know, and so you have to understand that just in certain terms of scientifically, if we can understand that Afro curly hair has a lot of human qualities to it that makes it genetically and biologically and environmentally different. And the difference, one of the main differences, is that it is bioresponsive. And I know that term is probably basically new, but
Yeah.
bioresponsive means that I can apply heat to it, and then once moisture comes into the atmosphere, any stratosphere, any spheric, any environment, it is going to molecularly and electrically respond to that environment. To whatever
Okay.
charge the water is going to be activated, and then it's going to move. It's going to start moving in water. It's going to start be responding to the environment. And so when you go into the question of how much to wash, Afro textured hair is a self-cleansing hair strand, which
Oh.
means that it is a, oh my God, uh, it has a different relationship with the environment, air and water. So you don't necessarily have to wash it often. I think the phenomenon of this question is coming in a new generation after the natural hair care industry. It is it's a response to too much product, twist outs, having to put on so much product to be able to compensate for a style and then washing it and wanting to do another style. The washing is just the conduit because you have to put water on it in order to break the natural, the hydrogen bonds and get a whole new style. But the washing in the terms of it needing to be cleansed is
Mm-hmm.
is different than wanting to wet it so you can do a new style. I think that is also one of the differences, because once you say, well, you should wash it. Well, where did that come from? Because prior to the 20th, to 1990, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, those were not questions that were important, not
Okay.
as much as important to the natural hair care generation. And so the natural hair care generation is trying to wash product out because they're using a gel, they're using an oil, and then they're using a lotion, then they're using a moisturizer, and then they're using so much product trying to get a curl pattern that is not native to their birth texture. So they have all these things on their hair. So that's the nature of that question. And let me just go here. I am a person who washes maybe um, once a month. I
Okay.
don't watch very often. We have to remember our mothers using depressing curls, doing all of those things. Washing was just not part of the, was just not
Right.
the major concern. Water is a conduit from style to style. Now, if you put
Right.
detergent in it, you put soap in it, you put shampoo in it, that's up to you. But it usually is a new 25 to 20 year question, because you guys are putting so much product on it to try to achieve a ringlet versus just wearing an afro and then
So now you talked a little bit about the whole, twist outs and stuff. So that's gonna now you're stepping on the toes of the people who are into protective styles. So they're saying we have to put all this on our hair so that we can make these styles to protect the hair. So what do
so,
you say about protective hairstyles that this is
well,
why they're saying that they have to do all this because
well, well,
we're trying to protect it or something like that.
well, we're not protecting the hair with product, because that negates the reason why you wash it out. If you don't, why would you wash it then? If the product that you put in it is protecting it, when does it expire and now it becomes an enemy and now you need to wash it out? That makes no sense.
Hmm.
What you're doing is that you are, the product has certain chemicals in it that weather, then they become itchy, and then they build up, and then they may have odor, and then they may have other things that that are not probably good to leave in week after week. And then that is another reason to better say, while you're washing, I'm removing the product that I just spent money on, I just put in to give me a style choice. Now I don't like it and I want to change it. Well, wash it, but don't make washing a issue. Just say, I want my style to last 2 weeks.
Right.
Whatever happened to washing every 2 weeks? But now washing every 2 weeks is not good enough. Now you
Oh
got to
yeah.
once every 2 days. But when did one every other 2 days? So some of these things are not necessary. They're just trendy. They're just something.
Mm.
They're not something. They're just something that a beauty manufacturer or brand comes up with and say, "Yeah, I want you to use this so much. I want you back in the store buying it within 3 weeks, please." So you should wash your hair more often.
Did
That
y'all hear that?
marketing game. That's a game.
Now, let me just say, Miss Foster, welcome back. Welcome everybody. We got some, our regulars are coming back, and you got a lot of light bulbs popping up. People are like, yeah, I think you are solving problems already. And this is why we are having this discussion. I know I have a platform. Cheryl has a platform. There are so many, platforms out here. And all we're attempting to do, guys, is to give you the correct information, debunk a lot of myths so that you can have your own personal, aha moment, and you can make some better choices about your hair. And like she's using the words, this is very personal, but you do have to keep in mind some of this stuff is relatively new. And me as a cosmetologist, I'll just be honest. Sometimes I just don't get it. I don't get the whole protective styles. I'm like, I don't understand that. I thought they were all just hairstyles, but nobody asked me. I mean, what do I know? So let's go into the next question about how often. So when it comes to heat, and I know we talked about this the last time. I have a pair of flat irons here, and that's just one. And then we have a blow dryer. That was too bulky, but I had to bring this out because I use this sucker every day, a good old fashioned pressing comb. So people say heat is bad for hair. So how often can you put heat on the hair since heat is so bad? This is what they're saying. Heat is bad for hair. So, what you say about that?
Well, when I teach cosmetologists or I teach instructors or whatever the case may be, one of the things that when you go into chemistry, heat heals. You cannot heal a any tear, any you cannot mend, you cannot do anything that now most people will say, well, it's the direct heat, it's the flat ironing, it's the blow drying, it's the this, it's the that. But I tell people if you're going to say heat is bad for your hair, then is a hot oil treatment bad? Is
I'm sorry
a
for laughing.
is it putting the hair under the dryer bad? Because the hair does not make heads or tails of what you're doing. The hair doesn't know, oh, flat iron, it's damaging. And I think that once we understand that when we need to say, then maybe pressing too often is a bad thing. Maybe flat ironing is a bad thing. We can't say heat. I think that we're getting mixed up. And I know we're talking about, because of course, won't you get under a heat cap? We don't really understand that we can't say that all heat is bad. Now, but the problem is that when you have a industry
Uh
that comes
oh.
out with heat protectors, they are gonna market that heat is bad because they want to sell you something so you to put on the hair. Okay. And then you may have the other generation that says, well, heat's not bad, it's the way you apply the heat. And
Mm-hmm.
so here you have people just saying, can we just say, first of all, heat? I want to, because the moment I shave one of the guys, I'm going to go get that hot towel. And then I'm going to go, because I need the heat, right? So
Okay.
is heat good for skin? Yes. Heat heals, heat mends, and things of that nature. But I will say that about 30 years ago, the whole does anyone know why the industry went to change from flat irons to from curling irons to flat irons?
Hmm. You said, do we know when or why?
Why?
I was told that because the curling irons, the whole clicking thing, that the turning and was bad, and it was messing up the hair, and then if the stylist didn't know how to temper the Marcel irons, they were like burning out the hair. So I'll be honest, I was late to the game. I just really didn't start using flat irons, honestly, till about 10 years ago. I didn't quite get the whole flat iron things. But so I would say one, and then two, because people were coming out of the relaxers. So they were saying like the straightening comb is bad for your hair, and the flat iron, was safer than the Marcel and the straightening comb. So that's what I was
I'm
taught
going to give you.
by other stylists.
I'm going to give you a clue. Okay, because when
Hmm.
you're talking about hair and beauty, there's people. My manufacturers talk to each other, cosmetologists talk to each other, consumers talk to each other, chemists talk to each other, and then engineers talk to each other. Why did the industry go from steel to ceramic? They went overnight. They all got in a meeting and got into their conference, and they decided to change the curling iron industry from steel to ceramic. Why?
Rule dropped in the chat money.
Okay.
Anybody else? Somebody? So he said money. We got a lot of crickets over here. So
Well,
far, one person said it was about money. Thanks,
well,
thanks, thanks, brother Sneferu.
so let's say about 1999 and about 2001 they changed, and they got all of the steel off the market, and all of my dear friends, the Whites of Kazuri out of Los Angeles, had the Marcel ovens, very famous black manufacturer of Marcel's and ovens. So we went from steel and ovens and steel, and we went to ceramic. We went to ceramic. It was about money. However, it was to what? Style, synthetic hair. It was the weaving industry. So ceramic did not burn. So they had bought into the fact that black people had no hair, especially black women, because you were going to attach something onto your hair and they wanted to be able to curl that hair too. So they went from steel to ceramic, which means direct heat to alternative heat, which is ceramic. They went from direct heat to ceramic heat, which is infrared heat, which means that it didn't cook. It's the difference between a flat iron and a Marcel is your T-file nonstick cooking ware that you cook in your kitchen, meaning that the cast iron heat is going to cook it from the outside in. Ceramic is going to cook it from the inside out. So they figured that they can make more money by curling synthetic and human hair on weaves and wafts rather than your head of your head, hair. Now, I will be the first one to admit infrared heat is a different kind of application, and it's been good. But here we go again, and I reference and I really wanted to point out by telling you guys that story is that the industry moves for different reasons and has different conversations with each other. The consumer is the last to know, and that's just how the industry works. So when they are coming out with these rules and regs, or these people come out with these idiosyncratic kind of, I do this and you do that and you should do this and we should do that, and I claim, these are all preferences that brand manufacturers have put into the conversation of the consumer market.
Wow. So let me just say in the chat, what's up, Miss Foster? She like, woo! You're cutting through all the advertising BS. Um, I'm gonna be honest. Let me clutch my little loved chain here. I've verklempt because what's up, Kofi? Kofi always my little StreamYard assistant. What's up, brother Kofi? Uh, I'm at a loss for words because it's funny, like when they're teaching us about, like we go to classes, and I went to a class and they were talking about like industry standards on how to use this stuff, and we're repeating this garbage, back to our cut, but we sound really, what I'm saying? We're sounding pretty fancy, not realizing that there's another conversation, like you said, that's going on. But let me just say this, and I'm not making this up. So there's this company called these watchdogs, and they're called the Cosmetics Group, right? And so they have what's called like the pink papers. So I'm emailing them about all these issues of selling like crappy ingredients to Black people. And so so I get invited to an online ingredient symposium, not making this up. Okay. And so in the chat, I'm asking the question, why do you guys keep making all this crap and then selling it to Black people? So this is exactly to your point, which is about like, this is 10 years. I'm 10 years from that training. And to your point, this is what they said. We're talking about a conversation that's taking place without cosmetologists or the consumers, because it's like what you said, Ms. Foster, in the chat. She cutting through the BS, and this is what we're here for. The people said to me when I typed in the little chat like we're in right now, why is this stuff being sold to Black people? It's on their hair. You don't see this in the suburban area. So the little chemist came through the chat and typed this. I wish I could have screenshot it. They said, our research has shown us that the African American consumer does not trust or turn to the hairstylist for hair care. They don't want to comb the hair. They are making and creating products to meet the demand of what the consumer is asking for. So all of this just goes back to what you're saying. And then to top it off, they added the simple fact that you're the only African American, the only cosmetologist, the only, in this room tells us that you, LaDosha, you've got work to do. So basically, don't come in our world talking of your stuff when we've done our research. And you're right; they are watching us, guys. They're understanding things that we think that they don't, and they're using it to their advantage. So, Foster, you're right. This is a woo conversation because we don't understand that there are other things that are going on that we don't realize. Like I was invited into one of the Arab beauty supply stores. My brother was with me, not making this up. They actually have a map. And I don't know, is it their computer system? They can tell you where every flat iron is located within their group of people. They can tell you which street is selling more of this. They are really tracking our behaviors like you would not believe. And I didn't even realize how the weave industry really influenced, because they did teach us. I was taught, and I'm just going to say it. It was H2 Pro. These are $200 flat irons, and they're telling us that this heat is better. And this heat is bad, and this heat can't be used. And so now we realize that it's something bigger that's going on. Okay. So
well, let me just say
ahead.
this. First of all, they're not asking. They're not having a conversation. They ain't doing no research. Research where? Oh, please tell me. What research where?
I was that whole response blew me back, but that's what they said.
Well, and I understand that. And let's be clear. Do you know what the and let me just say this: the flat iron is not a European design. The flat iron is a idea that was stolen because Black people on the plantation took pullers and put those in the fire, and those pullers we also press the hair. The flat iron is not, because if they had created it, they would have created it. If you look at white beauty does not have a tool that was not created in the 1800s. There is no new tool. The blow dryer is a big blow dryer from Marjorie Joyner. They're using the same thing they used in 1920 and 1930. You don't see no flat irons in 1920 and 1860 and 1890. The hair puller is an idea they stole from the plantation of putting mammal and blacksmith tools in the fire to press our hair. That is not. They don't do no research. Research on what?
Oh, did you?
Research on who? Who are they asking? Because at the end of the day, they don't have no one to ask, and that's why we're here.
Do y'all understand what's happening here? And I'm going to tell you how I know you're not making this up. And I'm going to get the correct name to this book. I think it's like My Sister's Keeper or something to that effect. And this is a white historian. She compiled like all the slave narratives, and she put together these stories of African American women's experiences. It's really deep. It's really deep. And I'm going to be honest, up until this exact moment, she talked about a white salon owner tried to take credit for inventing the hair pullers. Now, I already read this book seriously. I'm going to take a picture of it and put it up like 2 months ago. And for the life of me, I was like, what the hell is a hair puller? But the lady who wrote the book, she was a white historian. She was livid that this white woman was trying to take credit to what you're saying. Here I am, an African American sister with all my African starter kits on, and I don't even know what the damn a hair puller is. And so here comes to find out, here we are using this every day. I go to a symposium and they tell us they did research, and now you're saying these are the questions that we don't ask. Hence, this is the narrative. Do you guys understand, what she just said to us? How many of you have ever heard of a hair puller? And that was the first time I even heard of that, and that was 2 months ago. And I just was like, what the heck
That's
is
what
a
a,
hair puller?
that's what a slave used to fashion horses and cattle and livestock. We weren't grooming ourselves on plantation. We was grooming their animals. We weren't even allowed to do that. But we were creative and ingenious. We used what we had. That's why we had the blacksmith, and they were called black for a reason. I know y'all can put two and two together. But the point is that all that ingenuity. Now, when you have straight hair, you don't need to create and invent something to what? Have straight hair. That's why the European is created the curling iron. They created the curling iron so they can depict hair of the the Ethiopian curly hair. That's why they invent, but they didn't invent no hot comb. They already had straight hair. They don't. You don't. People don't create things that they already have. Ingenuity doesn't work like that. But if there's a market, and like the other brother said, once it comes to become a money maker, they put it into commerce so people can consume it. And that's the point after that. And then of course no one's watching. We can do the three card Monty. We can switch it around and get you confused. And then we can say, because at the end of the day, if I put my name on it, this is a Morrow. And then you say, oh, what's a Morrow? Oh, in 1945, Mr. Morrow created it and just named it after himself. That's how those things get confused. And then we don't know. And then it's a flat iron. Then why didn't they call it a hair puller then? Why is it a flat iron? If that's the case. So you just have to be able to know history so you can kind of, orient yourself and put your mental compass into so you can come to your own conclusions.
Woo! Okay, so the chat is on fire now. So we got Rashida. What's up, Rashida? So and Miss Foster. I mean, everybody is just like, whoa. So let me just read what Miss Foster says. She says, to your point about people not knowing their history, and like I said, and I read that was history, and she's a very notable historian, and I was like, dang, she kind of going a little bit ham about some pullers, but I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't even bother to look that up because I was just like, I was physically like, pullers, I don't know. And so Ms. Foster is saying that the challenge with the newer, some, we're not going to say all, but a lot of people, she's saying that the research stops on Instagram and YouTube. And people are turning to these platforms where Black women put all kinds of stuff on the hair, and they're using like all types of aloe vera juices and berries. And then they're making these claims that this stuff can change and it's better. So we can tell by your laughter that this is a problem, you guys. There is history about Afro hair. We all just learned it today, and everybody's over here on Facebook like, I mean, jaw dropping was just like me because we didn't know what that is. And so, Cheryl, I just want to say on behalf of everybody in the chat, Brother Kofi Pie Side, Miss Foster, Seneferu, Shana, Rashida. What's up, Rashida? Mr. Lee. What's up? What's up, Lee? I see you in the chat. We all appreciate the information that you're sharing with us. So we're about 3/4 way through. So here's another regimen that people want to know about, and that is cutting your hair, because people believe if you cut your hair, it's going to grow. So what about, you go to the salon and they say you need to clip your ends, just snip this every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, how often should people have their hair cut? We're not talking about the clipper cuts. We're talking about this crap right here on my head.
Right. Well, I believe that hairstylists got that from that because length is indicative of growth. Length, how the hair is growing in this direction.
That's
It that
down, guys.
that is what we are trying to achieve. So when hair starts to thin, start to break, or become brittle, okay, everything frays at the tip. In other words, let me give you an example. When you have a flag, it never frays closer to the pole. It's always fraying at the tips, right?
Right.
Because when it moves and it keeps waving and it keeps moving and it keeps flicking in the wind, they come apart at the ends. The problem is that the hairstylist it sees that it's starting to break up. It breaks up the shaft. It breaks from the ends to the base of the hair. So when that happens, they say cut them so the hair will not split up, because of course we want the hair to go down. So when the hair starts breaking, it breaks from the end of your length and it breaks up. That's why when you start seeing the hair and you put it up and you can kind of see through it, and then it gets dark and you can't see through it at all. Then, so what I'm saying to you is if you can get the analogy, we say that because the tips are going to eat up the market share of the length that we have accumulated. So they say to keep that from happening, why don't you trim it, and then you won't see the hair break. But even though, you know, only trim a little bit, and so because we we only want length. We're not trying to really deal with the fact that keratin is a fiber that if you move it for any certain amount of time, the oldest, because the ends now, guys, you have to remember, your length used to be here. And however many years it took to go here, the hair is old material, old threads, old fabrics, old anything begins to loosen. The fibers loosen, they come unraveled, and then that is what we call split ends. It's not a split end. It's just that the thread is always gonna fray where you last at the end and not the base of the thread. And because length is the only thing that matters to most people, and when the hair starts to break up and you keep losing that length, then they say, "Hey, well, you got to cut it." So to stop it, because that's how cutting got connected to length. It's not really that you're doing anything healthy for the hair. It's a thread, it's a fiber. You're just clipping off the unraveling part that's going to happen, especially long hair. If the longer you keep hair on your head, it's going to be old. And old hair, that's why you guys see me most times my hair is in a bun. I have long hair, so I don't try to move it a lot. So when you're moving it and you're styling it, the ends are going to be, unfortunately, a casualty of a lot of styling. It's a physiological thing. It has nothing to do with health. Does that
You
make
guys
sense?
hear that? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I have customers that I never cut their hair. And I say the same thing, like, well, if you ain't doing anything to it, you don't really need that. Oh, well, I was taught and I was told, and I'm like, listen, now, Seneferu, you can drop in the chat the $. Now, we're not talking about if you want an asymmetric bob and you want the undercut and all that. These are hairstyles. But we're talking about, like she said, people who want to grow their hair long. Like I do. I have never cut their hair, and they have hair like, oh my gosh, like super duper long. It's a personal preference, and like she said, it won't make your hair grow. It will take the ends off, and the hair, the longer long hair is it has a different regimen. And for some reason, people think that when they grow their hair long, they don't have to do like like anything. They're just like, well, if I grow it long, then I can just like, I don't never have to do this. And I'm like, well, especially when you're like, they want to put those spiral curls, and they believe if you put the spiral curls, I'm like, no, actually, matter of fact, the more you work the fabric, the more you're going to tear the hair. So I'm so glad you pointed that out, because when it comes to healthy hair, you heard what she said with her hair. Keep it simple. I tell everybody, why don't you guys just save your hairstyles for special occasions? And real, like I did an interview today, so I've got all these curls. But you guys see all my pictures. My hair is just flat and straight. I'm not. It's hot in these hair salons. So if you see the hairstylists, look at us. We're professionals, and look at how simple our hairstyles are. Nobody looks like the stuff you guys see on these videos and stuff. Those are photo shoots. Those are pictures. But in real life, I'm telling you guys the truth. Nobody looks like that. So lower your expectations, and cutting the hair for the 999th time, it doesn't make your hair grow. It will make it look pretty. It will be neat. Like she said, you'll have this nice line, but your hair is going to grow whether you cut it or not. So they want to know exactly how long is your hair. Her hair is long, so they want to know exactly how long is your hair. Would you tell them about how long is it? Here we go, guys. This is why I love. You see what I'm saying? So people are like, so now as she takes her hair down, keep it simple. Whoa, look at that. Here y'all go from the person herself. And I know people was like, Miss Foster was like, holy smokes and gee whiz, kind of like Tony. Beautiful. Holy smokes and gee whiz. They don't know nothing about that. So did you guys see that? And this is what we want you guys to understand. Even at the hair salon, you know what? We teach all of this stuff. They like, damn, sir. Hey, this is what we call the dumbest hit that people say about black hair. We just brought it to you live and direct there. You got a bunch of hearts going. You got a bunch of woo, yeah, a lot of happy faces. So guys, this is very doable and achievable, but you got to keep it simple. I'm sure at the end of the day, if you are watching this podcast or you're listening, post the live. We hope that you guys have pretty much concluded that, Cheryl and LaDosha is all about keeping it simple. You do need to know your history, okay? And so I'm going to drop the information about the book so you guys can see that. Speaking of books, you can get Cheryl's book. Cheryl, what's the name of your book? Tell them about your book and where they can find it right quick.
That is the first revision.
Okay.
Wrote it in 2007. It is Beauty and Myth: Why Black Women Can't Keep the Hair They Grow. But I'm going to revise it to today's language and today's issues. And yeah, you can get it on lulu.com, or you can get it on Amazon.
All right. I'm trying to get my book on Lulu. I like Lulu be showing some love to the indie authors, okay? Okay. And then my book, What They Don't Tell You at the Hair Salon. And let me see if I can swing my camera up. There it is, Curly Hair Adventures. My books are available also on Amazon. So we're making all of this very, very easy for you guys, as well as the hair care products. So we do have a giveaway. So brother Sineferu, you was the first one in the chat. So we always give the first person in the chat, you're going to get. Now I gave Miss Foster, don't forget to email me at ladoshaw@yahoo.com, because last week you won the dumbest hit that people say about black hair t-shirt. So you got that one, right? Okay. So Brother Seneferu, I am going to, but you got to send me your size. I don't want to send you a t-shirt that you can't wear. So I want you to represent help change the narrative. Okay. So this one goes to you. And these are good cotton t-shirts, guys. These ain't the one that's all stiff that be cutting you in your neck. So this one you can breathe, you can wear it with like a suit jacket or, so you can get a little flossy. So these are some really nice, quality t-shirts and absolutely free. Yeah. So email me so you can get your free t-shirt because I will be ghetto and put it on. We also have some fancy mugs. Maybe we'll give some of these away the next time so you guys can have some of this, like sip up some of this knowledge. Look at that. So thank you so much for giving us some great knowledge tonight. And let's see, we got something last in the chat. Okay. All right. So someone said they're going to get your book. So thank you so much. That's our Canadian love bug. She's definitely going to be getting your book. So don't forget to join us next week. We have to switch the time today because you guys know Cheryl and I, we got the dopest documentary coming out, and it's called The Narrative. And I went to interview the illustrious, the incomparable, the one and only Dr. Tamika Ellington. She is one of the curators of the Textures exhibit, to which Dr. Willie Morrow has loaned a lot of the artifacts that you see in the exhibit. And I was very honored to interview her near, as a matter of fact, right next to Dr. Morrow's, some of his products, not products, but items that he has on loan to the museum. So I felt like your dad's energy was all over me to do the right thing today. So we thank you guys so very much. Cheryl and I, we're going to be back next Monday, back at our regular time at 6 p.m. And so we got some more topics that we're going to be covering about some of the dumbest hit that people say about black hair. And I'm thinking this time when we talk about some of the dumbest hit that people say about black hair, let's talk about black folk can't color their hair. We hear, black people, we can't color our hair gonna fall out. So we're gonna talk about hair color. LaDosha, you got that good hair. That's why your hair didn't fall out. But if you had this kind of hair, so we're gonna talk about, can you color Afro textured hair? Is it bad? Will it make your hair fall out on the floor and so on and so forth? And why wouldn't I put that rinse on there? That rinse that you just squeeze out and it never colors my hair. I get that question asked a lot. So we could talk about hair coloring on Afro textured hair. And that's it. I think we're done. And we thank you guys so much. Neferu, don't forget to email me at ladoshaw@yahoo.com. Please like and share the channel. And we appreciate y'all's support. And you know what I say when we're always signing out? We're talking about a whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, or certainly a whole lot of hair. But check this out. If you ain't got no hair, don't want no hair, can't stand hair, as a matter of fact, you plan on cutting it off in 2022 because you got some bald spots and some bald heads, we say don't even worry about it, because bald head, bald patches, whatever you want to call them, those are beautiful too, and so are you. Deuces.